Hi guys! I recently made my first sweatsuit, and in my last video I showed you how to make a pattern for sweatpants and how to sew them. And in this video I will make a sweatshirt. For this project I took a ready pattern from this website. I wanted to try a hoodie pattern with a raglan sleeve and I liked the shape and the volume of this model. The only one adjustment I will make is that I will add a kangaroo pocket, and in this video I will detailedly describe how to make such a pocket. For this hoodie I took a thick jersey fabric with fleece side and special jersey for calves and bottom of my hoodie. So I cut off all pieces, and there are front and back bodies, the raglan sleeve, it's made out of 2 pieces, and a hoodie. And the first step will be to make a kangaroo pocket and to attach it to the front bodies. There are a few ways how to make a kangaroo pocket, and this is one of them. I was searching for pocket parameters, but everything I could find was a recommendation to make whatever is comfortable. And yep, good starting point. So I called my sister and asked her to measure my old hoodie pocket that I left in Ukraine. So here you have the size of a comfortable woman's hoodie pocket, and you can make it even few centimeters wider. I added 1 cm seam allowances around and 2 cm seam allowance to the pocket edge. I will fold later a pocket entrance and stitch it over. So this is how the pattern looks in the end with seam allowances. I cut off my detail and I already fused a layer of an interfacing to a pocket seam allowance. Maybe it is not so visual for you, but it's there. I did this to avoid stretching of the pocket entrance in the future. Before using a serger, I will iron my pocket seam allowance to the wrong side, like I did from the left side. It will create a crisp edge. And after ironing, I go to a serger to overlock this pocket seam allowance. I folded my 2 cm wide pocket seam allowance inside, and now I will overlock the top and the sides of my pocket. I hit the ends of the overlock seam, and after this I switch to the sewing machine. Now I need to fix my pocket entrance with a straight stitch. I will make 2 straight stitches, 1 cm and 1.5 cm from the edge to imitate a coverlock stitch from the right side. The next step is to iron upper and side seam allowances to the wrong side, and now my pocket is ready to be attached to the front bodies. I marked my middle points on the kangaroo pocket and the front bodies, and now I can position my pocket straight at the center. So I need to make a straight stitch 1-2 mm from the edge on the top and sides of the pocket. You can secure your pocket on the place with a hand stitch before using a sewing machine, but I will sew over pins. And after the step I will make another straight stitch 5 mm from the first one, like I did with the pocket entrance. And our pocket is ready. Now I'm going to make a hood. This hood does not have a double layer, it has 2.5 cm or 1 inch overlap. It will be folded like this and secured with a straight stitch. I marked the fold line of the one-piece facing of the hood, and now I'm making a hand stitch over the mark. Now I don't have to be worried that this line can vanish. Cut a 2x3 rectangle from the fusible interfacing and fuse this on the location of the hood loop from the wrong side. After this, instruction recommends to pull this cut of the one-piece facing slightly with an iron, only the edge before the fold line. I marked my loop position and now I make a buttonhole for the cording. I open my hole with a seam ripper using pins for security. The next step. I just pinned two parts of the hood and now I need to connect them with an overlock. I will overlock the edge of my facing of my overlap too. I ironed these seams flat and now I ironed seam allowance on the overlap in another direction than on the hood. Then after folding they do not create an extra thickness. I fold the edge of the hood and iron the fold. Now I will make a stitch to fix it. I decided to shift my fold line a few millimeters to the side, to have my loophole in the center between the edge and my future straight stitch. I am explaining this not to make some of you confused later. So now I'm going to make a straight stitch to secure the overlap. The second stitch is optional. Actually, the instruction recommends to use a coverlock machine, but I do not have one, so I do this like this. You can also use a double needle with your sewing machine and skip the overlock step. So, moving forward. I pinned together the parts of my raglan sleeves, right side to the right side. The back piece is a little bit wider than the front one. Now I need to overlock the cuts. I overlock the upper cut from the side of the front panel and inner cut from the side of the back panel. Now I will iron my upper cut seam allowance to the front part of the sleeve and inner cut to the back part of the sleeve. Here, they should be directed in different directions. I pinned together back and front bodies right side to the right side. I will overlock the seam from the side of the back panel. After this, as usual, reducing the seam thickness with an iron and directing the seam allowances to the front. And now we need to attach sleeves to the bodies. I turned my bodice inside out, pulled my sleeves inside and pinned the armhole. The underarm seam allowances should be directed into different directions. I need to overlock the cut from the side of the bodice and then I need to iron my armhole seam allowance to the side of the sleeve. Fold the detail of the sleeve cuff right side inward, pin along a short cut and stitch on the sewing machine. Press the seam allowance on two sides, fold the cuff detail in half along the long side with the wrong side inward. Level the cuts and iron lightly. Fold the belt part in half along the long side with the right side inward. Pin the short cuts and make a straight stitch. I have two belt details and I need to make the same with each one. Now turn the belt parts to the front side, straighten the corners and iron. I turned the sleeves to the wrong side and I already inserted the cuffs into the sleeves right side to the right side. I pinned the cuff with pins, evenly distributing the fit of the lower edge of the sleeve over the cuff. And then I definitely need to use a loose hand stitch to connect the cuff to the sleeve, like this. I put my overlock stitch from the side of the cuff. Very important now to iron the seam properly. I iron my seam flat and then I iron the seam to the side of the sleeve. And now you can see the huge difference of the ironed and not ironed seam. I finished with my sleeves and now I will connect my hood to the jumper. I need to overlap the details of the hood by matching the notch marks and connecting with pins. I turned the jumper inside out and I attached the hood with the lower cut to the neckline. I matched the notch marks and made a hand stitch. I sew on overlock by stitching from the side of the jumper and then I slightly iron the seam. It is possible to cover the seam on the back bodies with a twill tape. You will find this type of finishing on most of your hoodies, but I do not have a twill tape, so I just will leave it like this. And basically that's all with the hood. Okay, our last step. I pinned my belt detail to the right side of the front and back bodies. The belt is a little bit shorter than the hem, so I redistributed the length. You can first make a hand stitch and then go to the overlock, but I will make a hand stitch only to connect the shorter sides of the belt to avoid any gaps after stitching. And the last overlock stitch from the side of the belt. While ironing, I need to direct the seam to the side of the garment. And that's all, the garment is ready. You just need to pull a cording through the loops in the hood, or in my case a shoelace, because all the textile shops are closed now. And that's all. I was happy to share with you this project and I hope it was useful or at least entertaining. And see you the next time. Bye!